These minis went from gray plastic to blue-yellow fashion statements in 75 minutes. And it's all thanks to my least favorite hobby tool, the airbrush. My airbrush and I have a love-hate relationship. It gives great results fast, but it always clogs. I've gotten better at unclogging, and I've switched primers, so it's mostly worked out now.
Hey, I'm LP Wilson. It's great to see you. We're going to be priming some models today. What you just heard was the air compressor shutting off. If you have an air compressor with 2 tanks, it's not going to be making that annoying sound the whole time. And with this air compressor, you're not going to hear it, like hardly at all. It stays full of air for quite a long time. This is my airbrush setup. We've got gloves. I'm going to put on a mask in a second. I don't want to breathe aerated acrylic paints. I'm not about that. I'm going to be using these Stynylrez primers. I used to use ones from Vallejo and they clogged up the airbrush. I had to get a whole new airbrush because try as I might, I could not work the kinks out of that other one, no matter how much I diluted that other primer. So we're using Stynylrez primer. I've got my entire Daughters of Cain Force that I've assembled so far. I've got some water. To help with cleanup, I have these little droppers. I sometimes fill them up with water, and then I can use them to help clean the airbrush as needed. Tonight, I'm just going to do black primer on these guys, and then hit everything with white primer from the top for that zenithal highlight. Let's do it.
On the positive side, I love the airbrush because of how it lets me prime and undercoat quickly. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I've had a hard time priming with rattle cans. Here are some of my first minis, and the last ones I primed with rattle cans. I used brush-on primer until I got the airbrush. The airbrush gives a smooth prime no matter the weather. Time for some airbrushing tips. If it clogs, which it will, you can try moving the needle forward and back, backflow, taking the needle out and cleaning it, spraying airbrush cleaner through it, and, as the final step, taking the airbrush apart and soaking all the parts in soapy water or isopropyl alcohol. Don't remove the super small tip attachment of the airbrush when you do this. I tried that and ended up breaking the whole thing.
So, the priming went all right last night. Some of these look great, but a lot of them don't look so great. Basically what happened was the white primer wasn't going through, it was getting clogged, so I added some flow aid, but I added way too much flow aid and it resulted in the white paint being super thin and then running into all the crevices. And I don't want those crevices to be white, I want them to be darker. What I think I'm gonna do is basically prime them all again white from the top. This will make them be more consistent and clean, and it won't have any of these weird white splotches that we have right now. So let's try that and see how it goes. Hello. All right, I leave for my escalation league around 6:30 or 7. It's about 5 o'clock now. I've primed these and I'm really happy with how they're primed now. They look really good. I'm gonna add some color. I think it'd be really fun to show off my models with a little color. For my Kinneri that I painted them with an undercoat of blue going to green. This undercoat kind of helped pull everything together and make the model feel cohesive. I'm gonna do the same for these units. I don't know what color I'm gonna paint them. I don't know if I'm gonna paint them with a blue skin tone, just like these ladies have, or if I'm just gonna leave them green. But I think having a base coat of dark green going up to yellow will look great. So let's see how far I get on that in this session. All right, let's do it. Gotta make sure the model's dry before I bring them though. That would be embarrassing.
I also use the airbrush to undercoat the minis. In the past, I've done this without an airbrush. Undercoating 5 models by hand to a high standard took me at least 5 hours. With the airbrush, I got an acceptable undercoat on 17 models in under 30 minutes. This helped me get my minis ready for my weekly trip to the local game store. But look at that gradient. A smooth blend from dark blue to bright yellow-green. This hypersaturated undercoat sets all these snake ladies in the same ambiance. These minis aren't done yet, but they are well on their way. The undercoat makes even the unpainted details still look cared for and loved. I've been making these minis as part of an escalation league, Age of Sigmar Path to Glory. The airbrush helped me get my minis ready to paint in no time. So, no matter the headaches it causes me, I'm going to stay with my airbrush. Make sure you subscribe to see the army progress. I've been LP, and thanks so much for watching.